Hi, welcome to the Empowered Moms Show, where we dive deeper into the topic of toxic relationships, basically how to spot one and what to do about it. And I'm your host, Angelica Azura. Today, our guest is Anaiya Sophia. Anaiya Sophia is an independent mystic of almost forgotten faith. She is an author and Kundalini yoga teacher. Anaiya Sophia carries an oral transmission which stirs up the remembrance of Sophia, Isis, Magdalene lineage. Welcome, Anaiya Sophia. I'm so honored to have you here.
Bless you, Angelica. It is likewise.
Thank you. And today we're going to dive deeper into the type of predators we have. Who is hunting us? Yeah. And would you like to tell us about what kind of predators we have? Who should we be aware of, and what's happening?
Well, I think, when we look back to last year, 2018, we will see that this predatory energy has really seeped into our spiritual, tantric, yogic communities. We knew it was in the religious community, but now it seems to have come all the way down into our beautiful spiritual practices and communities and ashrams. So it's not just like within our fathers, within our partners, or even children, or even self, but it's totally got its little fingers into everything now. The first thing I want to say is narcissism is in us all. Every single one of us, male and female, has that tendency. It's like a quiet promise that's within us and can be activated. But what is factual is that the psychopath, it is known as a disease, it is known as an illness. It's a certain quality of mind. This is mostly operative in males. Now, this is, at this current stage, a medical fact, that this kind of posturing in the mind seems to appear again and again and again in the males. But I must say, we've only recently started to study this. We used to just classify people as psychopaths and just put them over there in the asylum. But now it's showing up everywhere. And so now there is like a study and a research program looking at this tendency. What is it? Is people really born with it? Or is it something that sort of comes in and over time? So that's the first thing I wanted to say. I would like to, if I may, just put a little something in there since the beginning of time. Way back, I'm talking Garden of Eden, creation stories and myths. So this is a story, this is a myth, and I just want to see if anyone feels anything around it. Back in the day, there were females called Starfire women. They were virgin priestesses of the holiest order. Their task was to offer their menstrual blood that would get ceremoniously turned into an elixir of the highest order. I'm not talking anything sleazy. I'm talking absolute beauty and grace. This elixir would be given to the royalty, the priesthood, and the male positions of power to be able to go into a very deep and transcendent state back to their origins of light. So I'm not talking distortion, I'm talking truth. These men in power would take the elixir, which had just a little bit of the virgin priestess blood in it, and with herbs and with all other substances, probably the blue lotus from Egypt, and they would absolutely go into a deep state, be with the light, have a dialogue and conversation, and then come out of the state and bring that wisdom out and into the community. Over time, there was an agenda to seek out these women and to stop them giving that elixir to these beautiful brothers of light. So the star fire women started to be hunted and stopped. So this practice has to stop. If you look at our history, especially in the Jewish faith, there was a period where all blood rituals were prevented overnight. No one can work with blood. No one can even use the blood of animals. It was just forbidden. And these kind of practices became very, very forbidden and simply not allowed anymore. And so what the myth tells us is that there is this female tendency on the planet to be able to really illuminate the masculine mind with the beautiful elixirs of the body created in a very holy and pure way. And that it is the psychopath, narcissistic energy that is really sniffing out where this feminine, beautiful gift is and wanting to just slam it down and shut it down. But what I want is I don't want people to put that in their head and make them a little bit narcissistic and say, you know, I am gifted, I am special. But if the feminine is out there, and it can be in male and female form, if you know you have a very graceful, beautiful, sacred gift within you, you may also notice that this type, the psychopath, the narcissist, is doing everything it can to make you be small. And for God's sake, literally for God's sake, don't let her find that gift.
Yeah.
So this is mythical talk. And I just want to put that in there so that you can just feel and just know that you haven't gone mad. There is some truth in what I've just said.
I just felt chills down my spine. This story is so profound, and I felt it deep inside my feminine body. But I wanted to say that there is truth, because I also was reading, for example, that in the ancient time, female priestesses, they used to put their blood on the altar. And they would put their menstrual blood on the altar. And then after the female priestesses were gone, the male started doing the sacrifices. It's right. Because we were not supposed to do any sacrifices. It was our beautiful blood, which is sacred blood. So I do resonate, and it's very beautiful. And indeed, for something sacred like that, you would feel someone wanting to come and get it. Yeah.
I remember asking myself, what is it with the blood? What is in the blood then? You know, is it the fact that it is blood? And my research led me, no, it's nothing to do with blood. It's what's contained within the blood. And what's in the blood is genetics, but also the light of the mind. So these priestesses, whether they be virgins or not, their mind is so pure, so untainted from everyday life. That quality of light, that luminescence is in their blood. You can't put your mind on the altar.
No. But
the blood contains the genes, and the genes are holding that frequency of beautiful mind. And I'm like, God, I've got it. That's why the priests were ingesting the blood. They're ingesting the pure state of mind from the feminine, who is able to maintain that dignity because she's just not so easily swerved with the distractions of the world.
Yeah. Oh, this is beautiful. So what do we do with the predators?
Sure.
I'm coming back. Like we are indeed sacred, and if every woman would feel what is happening in her womb, this sacred blood, this beautiful connection to the womb, to the moon, and the cycle, and our beautiful body, we want to come to our balance, to
Yes.
our own integrity. And what do we do with these predators? What would we?
Well, by golly, it's an initiation of the highest order. This is not a walk in the park. It mustn't be treated as a walk in the park. It is probably going to be the most intense period of your life. But at the end of it, by golly, you're going to be a rich and powerful and grounded and honest and loving woman, or feminine. I don't want to make it too much about male and female, but more about the masculine and the feminine. Because men can absolutely meet predators in female form. It's less out there, but it does exist. Just want to put that out there.
It does exist. I'll be honest. Before I met my predator, let's put it this way, I was not myself, not a very honest lady. So I did, like, I'm looking back, I probably was narcissistic to my first boyfriends, and I did not behave that well. It's just the way I grew up and everything. So I did kind of like, you know, showed those features. So I would definitely say that men, they can meet, and some of my boyfriends, they met me, and I certainly learned a lot from that, and I grew from that, right? So I had to accept that inside myself, and it's what I had, and I just want to be honest, what I discovered in myself, because the manipulation and all of the anyway, and then I hit this real guy. It's kind of like attract likes, and then so, and then there's 10 years of absolute devastation, and you do it is an initiation, I would say. You've got to see that initiation, and they say thank you, because the power which rose inside of me after dealing with this situation, with toxic, with absolute utter toxicity and abuse, and physical and emotional abuse for 10 years, the power which rose inside is something I can't describe. It's very beautiful.
Well, first of all, I want to say really big bless you for your honest sharing. Me too. You know, I've been that cruel, spiteful bitch. Me too. So again, just to highlight, it's in us all. It's whether we can balance, just keep it as inoperative as possible. So yeah, going back to the predator, usually you will not be able to see that you're in a predatory relationship. You'll probably know it, but you haven't actually confessed it to yourself. Your friends and family who love you dearly will be able to see very clearly that you're in a predatory relationship, and they will be telling you, because they're worried and they're concerned. And what you will probably do is close your ears and say, no, it's not true. It's not true.
It's me. It's exactly what it is. You're describing me the first years. Yeah. Oh, I'm all ears.
And sometimes I wonder, the reason why we do that is because we do, in fact, have to go through this. If we pull out because our friends and family have said predator, psychopath, narcissist, we're not going to get the big learning. But I want to say to the people who are in these relationships right here and now, and recognizing, oh my God, truth is being spoken, you are going to have to put in place some very key things. Number one, you need a confidant. You need a very wise and grounded friend. You need to confess. You need to get it out of you and share it with another. And this is like a confessional confidant, and you're going to start to feel better once you open up to someone else. But you need to open up consciously rather than bitching. Bitching and moaning about the partner is not the healing balm. Opening up with grace and heart and showing your fear and concern and your, oh my God, I don't think I can get out of this. You're now on the healing journey.
Yeah.
The second thing would be to gather yourself with like a council of others, especially if you're in the spiritual world. This is something I had to live. I, by myself, couldn't do this. I was not strong enough. When I joined with others in the spiritual community that was experiencing exactly the same thing as myself, we now were able to support and encourage one another to stand up and raise and speak out our truth, because it was the truth and it was still happening and people were still being impacted. If I had stood up by myself, I'd have just been, bam, silenced. But because a whole load of us stood up with exactly the same story, now there's a power to go out into the community and bring light into a place where it was very, very quiet and very, very closed. So that's kind of like a community predator. And that's just as intense as a predatory partner.
Yeah, yeah, indeed.
Huge. It's a huge thing.
Yeah.
And then finally, the third step, once you are starting to edge yourself out of the situation, your nervous system is going to need some very big healing, because you are going to be fried. You're going to be a nervous wreck. All of your nerves, your glands, your psychic, subtle anatomy that has been coping with this madness is going to be seriously malnourished. After this initiation, you got to throw everything at things like rest, nourishment, healing, and you need grounded exercises. You don't need information. You need somatic, deep, slow, dark. And when I say dark, I mean candlelight. You need to be taken down into the ground, like a little seed, to rest in the dark soil, to be restored by natural things, because psychopaths tend to work with very high vibratory mental energy. You've had enough of that. You need to go down into the womb.
Yes.
And you need to choose your friends wisely. You need grounded, full-bellied, full-bodied friends who are not going to complicate your mind anymore. You've had enough of mind. It's now time for body and breath.
Yeah. Yeah. What?
I'm sorry, I get very passionate about this.
And all the steps you said, I can relate to them. When I started to break out from the relationship, the first thing was I called my husband's parents and I said what was happening. It was just in a madness of crying, but I broke that silence code. When you keep it to yourself, it's just, it didn't really do anything, but it didn't do anything and it did everything. I was not afraid to speak up anymore. I was just not there, like, yeah, you definitely, and finding your like-minded group, and you can't do it by yourself. Definitely you have this support, And when you get out, I get out a nervous wreck with a
Yeah.
memory loss.
Yeah.
And, I couldn't remember. I speak 5 languages and I could barely find words, and I have degree in mathematics, and the situation about my brain was actually really sad, because I was never that low in my life.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
searching for words, and it was really bad. And definitely I went on a healing retreat, so that and cuddling, like this wood
Yes.
type, what you described, I would
Yeah.
just like cuddle and feel myself, and just feel this inner love, and like,
Yeah.
yes, that's
That's exactly right, Angelica.
yes.
Cuddling, coziness.
Coziness, like
Yeah.
cozying myself, and I would feel deep inside. It's like
Yeah.
down to my womb, and that love.
Yeah. 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 Bless you. You have been through it. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. But it's a path which, yeah, brings you to this moment.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. And now, would you tell us about the lessons of the empath? You want to?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Usually the pattern is predator and empath.
Yes.
Because, and again, there's so many mythical stories to prove this truth that we're speaking about. The empath at first is usually incredibly naive. It's like a sweet little innocent flower that thinks that it can grow up and show its beautiful innocent head, and no one is going to try and stamp on this beautiful little green shoot. And the empath is feeling everybody at such a deep level, and the empath believes that everyone is filled with light and everybody can be healed and graceful and kind. Mm-mm.
No.
And so it's usually the empath that gets into tangle with the narcissist predator. And that is where the empath is going to have to learn some badass discernment, and quickly and powerfully and authentically, because the empath will eventually come out of the situation. And he or she has a great gift and voice and talent to share with the greater community after this. But the empath does not have access to this until they've done their time with the predator narcissist. So the predator narcissist, in some respects, is the great path, the great teacher that will put the empath in touch with their discernment. If you think about that, that is 2 very honorable qualities to have: to be able to absolutely feel profoundly the suffering of the world and not be afraid of it, and be able to sniff out when there's bullshit and trouble in the field. That is the gift of the angels. That is an Angelica gift.
Thank you.
But we have to do our time with this intense process.
We do. I remember I wanted to leave my husband, and I was in the airport. I already bought the tickets. This was even before I had my children, and we were arguing every day. And I was sitting waiting for my airplane, and after I finished crying, I heard a really loud voice. Where are you going? I never hear voices.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I'm okay. In terms, like, yeah, I am psychic, but the voice was so loud that I had to return back. I don't really share this with anyone. I don't know why I shared. Anyway, it was just like, it was so loud, like, where are you going? I didn't know where I was going at that time. And the only way, I thought, I have to go back and sort this out, because it was not finished. Like, Yeah. So
I would like to put one more thing out there, which may be true for some and not true for others. We have to talk about a little bit about the inner predator, because that is usually what gives birth to the outer predator. We have probably already met the inner predator. I have. I'm not sure if it's there anymore. If it is, it's morphed into something else. When I was a child, I had an inner predator. I had created something in my mind that was made from my own suppressed screams. So my childhood was a little bit bumpy, you could say. We are now, I'm the only child, so all three of us, me, mum and dad, are now profoundly and sincerely healed as three adults. But back in the early days, it was very bumpy. And I was an only child, so I had no other brother or sister to turn to. I did not act out my terror because I was too afraid to. So that terror that I should have screamed out, no, stop, this became internalized. And this is how Carl Jung describes it. Unexpressed screams or silent screams went so deep into my psyche that I began to manifest this inner predator, this hunter. There's a hunter on the inside and it wants my light. What it actually is my own self. It's my own anguished and helpless self, lost and cut off and just crying out for my light. Help, help, help. I'm terrified. Because I didn't deal with it, because I didn't know how to deal with it. I'm like 3 years old.
Yeah, no, you can't.
It goes deep, 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 deep. And now it's ready to be dealt with. So it calls for an outer predator to come into my life to remind me of that same level of terror and helplessness. And I remember when I met the predator on the outside, I went, oh my God, this is the same thing as this thing on the inside.
Yeah.
Oh shit, it's now out there and in here. Yeah. So this is definitely worth contemplating. There could be some, as I said, unexpressed terror. But don't be afraid of it, beloved friends. Don't you be afraid of that inner predator. It's just you. It's just you. It's a fragmented part of you that's lost and alone, just wants to come home to your heart. Yeah. But again, it's going to take a lot of tears and shaking in the body, because you're going to have to remember all of those mad times. But then when it comes in, then the inner predator becomes the most accurate sniffer of danger. It is now the greatest ally. It becomes an unquestionable authority of protection. It is going to protect you in every dimension throughout time and space you can imagine. It is now your best friend.
Yeah, and when you own your anger, this is different, because when my husband was hunting after me, I could see my anger is hunting me, because I could not express it. I wasn't owning it. When you own it,
yes,
transmute it, and it just becomes that part of you. When you allow yourself this, you put these boundaries and you sniff, and that's missing ingredient. You need that.
Absolutely. Sacred rage. Sacred rage. Being able to just really go there and let that energy flow freely through your whole being, through your heart. You know, we're like, oh no, I can't let this level of rage flow through my heart. Oh yes, you jolly well can. Yes. And then it becomes sacred rage. You are protecting yourself. You are a beautiful being. And there is more beauty that is destined to come through you. That is why you protect yourself. I get very
this is
passionate.
beautiful. I know this is so beautiful. And what I just wanted to say that Anaiya Sophia has a book coming soon in 2020, and it's called Fierce Feminine Rising. So stay tuned for more sacred feminine rage.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is beautiful. We're passionate about it. And
do you know, if I may say, sorry, one more thing, I think all of us, every single one of us on this planet is also going through a very similar kind of threshold. You could say the powers that be that are operative in our world with this nasty agenda, like the weapons industry, maybe perhaps, like the factory farming, where the animals are treated with utter disrespect. That's the same energy. This is the same character. And us humans who have the heart energy, we're all dealing with this mad process right now. Yeah. So again, to broaden the field and say, at a level, we're all empaths. We might be a little bit naive. We might have some suppressed terror inside of us. And we might, all of us, have to go through this process of finding our fierce feminine or authentic masculine and rise up and address these horrible industries that are just out of control and harming so much innocence, and just like, bam!
we do need that fierce feminine. I know the animals and the dire state of the planet in terms of the ecology, and that I feel this planet, and it is a lot. The more we embrace this fierce feminine power, and we deal with our own predators, and then we can probably collectively face these global, because they predate, they sell this contaminated food. And I do have 2 daughters, and the school system as well needs big reforming. And we need to deal it on a global scale. But I think with that, just each and every one individually, and then we joining.
Yes.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
We just hold a beautiful vision for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about your gift for us, the removing predatory energy transmission.
Well, this is a transmission is like a guided meditation stroke storytelling. Because to me, guided meditations are very, they're very linear, and they're very, not serious, but it's kind of like a serious practice. Whereas a transmission definitely has feminine energy in it. There's ups and there's downs, and there's, it's a full bodily journey into a realm. And this realm is your own inner self, where if you suspect you are tackling predatory energy, and you just need to feel some companionship on the inside, a voice that you can hear. Oh my God, this voice has been here. She or he knows this terrain. This is what this transmission is going to be. My voice is going to escort you to the places you need to go on the inside to find more of your powerful, radiant self, as well as to comfort and heal and bless your way. So that's the gift. That's the transmission.
And I just want to remind you, our listeners, that you can click the button below and download this beautiful gift.
Yeah.
Would you like to add anything before we say goodbye?
I just want to say, beloved listeners, sometimes when we're in the middle of this, we think we're mad and alone, and that no one else could possibly be dealing with this. I just want to say it's absolutely pandemic. It's worldwide. You're not mad. You're not on your own. There's so much support here on the earth now in physical others, and there is a lot of support on the inner realms for what we are all going through. You're all right. You're on the path. You're gonna be okay.
Yes, you're gonna be okay. And me and Anaiya, we're the proof for that. And so many women who walked the path before you, just one step behind, and you're gonna get there. And it's worth pursuing. I want to say thank you to Anaiya, Sophia. Thank you for coming, and thank you for letting me interview you. It was my big pleasure. Thank you. And folks, you've been hanging out with Angelica, Isis, Azura, and Anaiya, Sophia. Please stay tuned for our next episode. Please make sure to check your inboxes. And bye for now.
See you.
Bye-bye.